Okay, I'm still not buying this market. I'm still waiting for Bitcoin to make a move. It did recover slightly to 113,000 or so, but I'm still not making my move yet, and I'm going to show you why. Then I want to show you something that's happening in Wall Street, because it does look like Wall Street is making a move. That is a move of the Sol Treasury Company versus the ETH Treasury Company. And what it seems to be happening is, it seems that Wall Street is starting to position themselves for a Solana breakout. And what's happening with that is, you can kind of see what's happening to Solana in the charts. Just have a look at the Sol BTC chart over here. You can actually see some big movement in the Sol BTC chart over here. So I want to show you why I think that Wall Street's actually moving to Solana. And then I'm going to show you how to build a sensible, leveraged Solana beta portfolio that kind of keeps you very safe from liquidations, but gives you some really big upside in the event that the Solana run has actually started. And I think the Solana run may actually start sooner than we initially expected. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to show you how to build the ultimate leveraged Solana and Solana beta portfolio. It looks something like that. And I'll also show you why I think Wall Street's actually jumping the gun on Solana and getting ready to buy it. So let's get going, guys. Listen, I know a lot of you are complaining that I'm late, but it was my birthday last night, and let me tell you, we had one too many gummies. So the fact that I'm here is probably much more amazing than the fact that I'm a little bit late. So there are some people that are complaining. Others are just going to appreciate the fact that even the night after my birthday, when I've got a headache or had a headache the entire day, I'm here and I'm bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom. 𝗦𝗲𝗢, can you bring me another one of these? Because I'm dying here. I'm like, I got to try and drink. It's a combination of tequila and gummies, and we're trying to get rid of them. Someone says you're always late. Yes, but today I was a little bit late. And actually, I've told you guys before, it's not me that's late, it's you that's late. I never start unless there's 500 plus people in the chat. You know that by now. Come on. That's not new news to you by now. Anyway, let's get into the big show today. We got Wall Street jumping the gun on Solana. They're starting to buy Solana insatiably. I think we can preempt them here. And I'll show you exactly how I think we should preempt them and how you can build like a very sensible leveraged portfolio, which will give you massive upside returns if we are right in our assumption here. So if that sounds good to you, what I suggest you do is have a sip of water. It doesn't help, I promise you. I've been drinking water the whole day. It doesn't help. How does I look very high in this frame? I almost feel like my hair is like going out of the frame here. And I've just been to the stylist, so I want them to see the top of the spikes here, whatever's left of the spikes. Anyway, so guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you already are a subscriber, what I recommend you do is like this video. Let's get everyone watching our content. And when you hit the like button, that's exactly what happens. I'm going to bring you some cool alpha at the moment, right? Because as I said to you before, just before we start, I'm not buying anything yet. When I say I'm not buying anything yet, I told you yesterday, this fear and greed is in no man's land. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to make a decision. There is a chance, you can say, that we almost touch the bull market support bands over here. And so maybe we won't go down to the bull market support bands. As I said to you yesterday, my base case is that we're touching the bull market support bands. Where are these bull market support bands? Around 107 or 108,000. That would be my first point of call. When I look at the on-chain data, the on-chain data actually shows something very, very interesting, right? So there's a short-term holder cost-based model. Now, what is a short-term holder cost-based model? It takes all the new short-term holders in the market, and it basically says, look, what is their cost base? And generally, we look at their short-term holder cost base as quite a big resistance level. Because when you go below the short-term holder cost base, you assume that they're going to start capitulating, right? And so you really want to try and stay above the short-term holder cost base. So if you look at this model over here, the short-term holder cost base is the baseline over here. When it gets heated, which is exactly actually where we touched before the price started to come down, and then the next one is like kind of like very, very overheated. So we want to try and stay away from the short-term cost basis or breaking down below the short-term cost base. That short-term cost base is at 108,900. So to me, that's the levels, 108, 108.9. And if we break below that, then I'm going to go back to the thesis that says that we're going to go to 105,000, right? That's what my thesis actually says. And I'll show you another model right now that actually verifies exactly what I'm talking about here, right? So again, for me, the price of Bitcoin has to bounce off that 108,800. If it goes below the 108,800, which is kind of the bull market support band level over here, 107, probably be like 108. If we go below that, then between 108 and 95 are the two areas of interest for me. And I'll show you one thing that actually shows us that we can get there actually not on Bitcoin. So that's my base case over here. But that's not really why I made a show today. Today, the reason why I jumped in to make the show is because I noticed this last night. Of course, as soon as I noticed that the first people that I told were my good friends in Frontrunners, because remember, I can't go live all the time. So I have to, when I make an announcement, I have to make the announcement in Frontrunners. Let me just find my channel here. Here's my channel in Frontrunners. As soon as I noticed that I posted it over here, I was like, guys, look, something's happening around the Sol Treasury Company play at the moment, right? Because that's BMNR, right? Tommy Lee's company. That's his company over here. And that's STSS, which is the Solana Treasury Company. Granted, it's a very small Solana Treasury Company, but there was a massive jump in the appetite for the Solana Treasury Company yesterday. And then I was like, hold on a second. Why is there a massive jump in the Solana Treasury Company thing? And then I was like, hold on a second. We are moving into September, right? We're on the 28th of August. So we're moving into September now. And what Wall Street is basically trying to do is, here's that chart that I was watching yesterday. This is the chart that actually jumped. That's the chart in the Solana Treasury Company thing. And so when I looked at that, I was like, hold on a second. If that is the Solana Treasury Company chart, what is going on? What is Wall Street actually looking at? Which got me looking at the other charts. And then I started noticing that, hold on a second. Solana seems to be having a lot of relative strength at the moment. It's now at $215. It was at 190 just a few days ago. Then I looked at the Sol BTC chart. The Sol BTC chart shows that today, as we speak here today, Sol has just had a golden cross. The Sol BTC chart has just had a golden cross. When you look at these golden cross on the Sol BTC chart, it actually gives you a very, very, very interesting pattern. So you can see we had a Sol BTC golden cross over here. And that was in 2021. We had a golden cross. And then what happened? Well, we went down. You see, if you zoom in here, we actually went down. There's where we had the golden cross over here. That's where we had the golden cross. And then here, we actually went down a bit for a couple of days. In fact, let me give it to you on a much nicer chart. So we had the golden cross in 2021. For 12 days after that, Sol BTC started to bottom and it went down 17%. And then we went up like crazy. And the same thing actually happened in 2024. We had the golden cross. The Sol BTC chart actually went down for 23 days. And then we went up like crazy. So I don't know if we're going to repeat exactly, but what I can tell you is that we today had the golden cross. Now, let's look at these two theories, one next to the other, right? And then we'll look at the fundamentals. The two theories, one next to the other. The first theory says we are maybe expecting Bitcoin to go back to 108,000. If Bitcoin went to 108,000, what you'd expect is you'd expect the Sol BTC chart to actually start dropping, right? And that is exactly what the two previous golden crosses have told us. When we have a golden cross, the Sol BTC chart shall drop. So the two theories are kind of talking hand in hand with one another. The next thing that I looked at here is I kind of looked at this and I was like, oh, hold on a second. Solana actually really is showing relative strength. When Bitcoin was at 123,000, Solana was at $200. And now Bitcoin's at 113,000 and Solana is at $215. What does it tell me? Well, it tells me that maybe the Wall Street rotation is starting. We know that this is the part of the cycle where Wall Street rotates money from Bitcoin to ETH and then from ETH into the major large cap alts. That rotation from Bitcoin to ETH, specifically around the treasury companies, that rotation has been led because of the treasury companies. And I think that what Wall Street is trying to do, I think Wall Street is trying to position themselves ahead of what's about to happen to Solana. Even though ideally, I would have liked to see the flow of money later in the cycle. I would have liked to see the money flowing from ETH to ETH first. I would have liked ETH to break the all-time high and to convincingly break the all-time high. And then I would like the rotation into Solana. Because remember, when everything gets priced against ETH, like the base is the Sol ETH ratio. So everything is priced against ETH. All the altcoins are priced against ETH. We want ETH to go up so that the price valuations against ETH remain very, very, very low. And then we want them to actually turn. But what we're getting now is we're getting a rotation around Solana, into Solana. It feels like it's happening a little bit early in the cycle. But that said, maybe the cycle can end towards the end of October. That is, if we have the same cycle as 2021, the cycle can end of October. I don't believe that, by the way. By the way, I'm going to do a show in the next 2 or 3 days where I show you how I think that the cycle actually could be longer, much longer. And it works around the fact that if you look at where the cycle is, we haven't had a Bitcoin dominance breakdown. And generally, the Bitcoin dominance breakdown will happen. I'll show you how this Bitcoin dominance breakdown actually lands up happening. So look where the Bitcoin dominance breakdown happened in 2020. It didn't happen in September, right? Which was a post-halving year. It actually happened the first one happened in December and the second one happened in March. What else happened in March in 2021? Well, we look at ETH USD and we go to the weekly and we go to 2021. And yeah, so look at when ETH actually landed up breaking its previous all-time high. That was somewhere around here. That is when the major drop in dominance actually started to happen, right? So you see what happened here? The dominance, we took the all-time high from 2017, 2018. When did we break that all-time high? 11 December, well, let's be a little bit more scientific. I got such a headache. 18th January 2021. Now let's go back to the Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's actually open it in another window. It just makes it a lot easier. BTC.D. So if you look at Bitcoin dominance, so if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart and you say, okay, when did it actually break down in 2021? The big breakdown started to happen here. There, that's the big breakdown over here. That's 2017. That's not the right breakdown. The big breakdown starts happening here, you could say. That's 4th of January. So what you can see is that the Bitcoin dominance starts breaking down when ETH actually hits the all-time high, right? ETH is just about to break its all-time high very, very, very soon. That's when I expect the dominance to break down. And so that could mean that we're going to have a slightly later cycle. Either way, though, what we're getting here is hold on, is my news terminal open? Because I haven't heard any for quite a while now. Last piece of news 16 seconds ago. Maybe my sound's not working. Maybe I'm not hearing all the sounds. That's the problem. Let's see if is the cable here. You see it's gone back to my AirPods. That's why I'm not hearing all the good sounds here, because it's picking up my AirPods. That's the problem. Let's get rid of these AirPods. We don't need them. Okay. So let's see now if we'll hear some. Okay. So what is Wall Street positioning themselves for? Well, Wall Street are positioning themselves for two things that are about to happen on Solana. And unfortunately, they can't wait for the ETH rotation here. The first thing is the ETF approvals. The ETF approvals, likely ETF approvals sometime in mid-October, right? So talking about like mid-October, the Solana ETFs should actually be approved. The big Solana ETFs should actually be approved. The second thing that they're starting to position themselves for is the digital asset treasury companies that are going to start actually buying Solana. And again, the reason is they saw what happened when the digital asset treasury companies started to buy ETH, right? Started to go crazy. So we actually did a bit of an analysis today. We said, look, we used the Blockworks data. And we said, look, let's just quickly try and understand what this buying pressure actually does, right? And then let's go and put a timeline to it and say, when will this buying pressure actually start? So let's start off with the timing, right? So based on this, if you look at the timeline of the Sol Treasury Company announcements, they will probably start buying somewhere around the 7th of September. And that's assuming that they commit for the multi-coin raise, blah, 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 blah. Let's say by the 7th of September, they actually start buying. That's 10 days from now. So 10 days from now, the digital asset treasuries actually land up starting to buy. Okay, so what will the buying actually land up doing, right? So here's a little formula that we did where we looked at ETH and we said, let's look at ETH. Now, bear in mind that ETH is a much bigger asset than Solana. And so it's much harder to move the market cap. And I'll show you how we'll deal with that in a second. But what we said is, look, let's look at the first date that the digital asset treasury companies started to buy. For Solana, for ETH, it was the 4th of April. You see now the news terminal is going crazy. You see now let's just see what the hell's going on in the news terminal. Just what before we get into that calculation. Okay, we're going to keep that open over there so we can actually see it. So let's assume that the starting date for the purchases for the Solana digital asset treasury companies is 10 days from now, 7th of September. And we then took ETH and we said, look, if we take all the ETH buying from the digital asset treasury companies from the 4th of April, how much have they actually bought? Now that number is actually available over here. And what you can see is that they bought about $14.98 billion worth of ETH. Okay, so $14.98 billion worth of ETH was bought by the digital asset treasury company since the 4th of April. But the thing for ETH is that ETH also has ETF inflows. So we also took all the ETF inflows from the same range and we said all the ETF inflows, probably about $14 billion. Now, this is not very, very, very accurate because the inflows were happening over time, right? So it's a rough model because we could go every day and say, what is the price of ETH? What is the price of ETH? What is the price of ETH? But we're taking a very generalized number and we're saying, look, if we get a $26 billion inflow, which is this number over here, right? In fact, maybe we should even, so let's do it like this and then we'll be a little bit more accurate in a second. $26 billion of inflow took the ETH market cap from $219 billion to $554 billion. So go to ETH, go to the market cap chart, go to April, which is over here. In April, when the digital asset treasury started buying, was here, 219 billion. And that took the ETH market cap from 219 to 554, which is where it's sitting today. So the market cap before the change was 300. The market cap change was 335 billion. Okay. So if the market cap change is 335 billion, and we know that $26 billion actually flowed in, then the multiplier is actually about 12.9. Okay, but now I want to just quickly make a different assumption here. And I want to say, look, let's assume that the buying wasn't all at once. So let's assume an average price of $3,000 an ETH. Okay, that would give us a $20 billion inflow. And that will give us a 16x multiple formula. Now it's starting to get a little bit more exciting. So now I want to show you what happens. What we know is that for every $1 billion that flowed in to ETH, the market cap of ETH went up 16x. Okay, so you get that, right? The money was flowing in from digital asset companies, from DATs, and it was flowing in from ETFs. And right now, the ETFs and the DATs are pretty much neck and neck. Let's actually say that this number here is 3,500, just to be a bit more fair. So what we know is that $22 billion flowed in, more or less. And that $22 billion moved the market cap $335 billion, which means for every $1 billion that flowed in, the price of ETH went up, or the market cap of ETH went up $14.9 billion. And then we say, okay, what if the same thing happens on Solana? For every $1 billion, how much will the price actually move? So let's assume that we use the same multiplier as we do on ETH. The starting market cap for Solana is $130 billion. I mean, that's just taken off CoinGecko. I'll actually show it to you over here. So on CoinGecko, you look at the Solana, Solana over here. I'm using a fully diluted valuation just to make it a little bit more fair. $130 billion fully diluted valuation. And I'm saying, okay, if the market cap is $130 billion and the sold price is $213 right now, and for every $1 billion, the market cap goes up 15x, 14.9x, what will happen when the money starts flowing in? And we're saying, okay, if we start off at $130 billion market cap and $2.5 billion flows in, that's going to take us to $167 billion market cap on Solana. Let's actually just make that a little bit prettier. OCD is such a terrible thing. And what that will do to price is it'll take the price up to $274. And if we can get $5 billion flowing in, that'll take the price into $335. Okay, but now what I want to do is I want to say, hold on a second, there's actually a scenario where this actually gets much bigger. And why I say that this actually takes you much bigger is, let's call it a super multiplier. And what the super multiplier says is it says it's much easier to move a protocol that has a $130 billion market cap like Solana than one that has a much bigger market cap like ETH. And so we should just say that we can't just say that for every, that it's going to pump the same as ETH. Let's assume that it pumps at 50% more than ETH because it's a 50% smaller protocol. You understand that, right? ETH is a much heavier protocol. It's got a much bigger market cap. Yeah, now the news is coming out. Hey, now that news is coming out. Let's have a look here. What's coming out? XPL, price monitor. Okay. XPL, no text. 𝗔𝗔. Price monitor 𝗔𝗔 up 13.5%. Let's open a trade there just to see what's going on there. Thank you very much for playing the game. Fucking addictive. Anyway, we'll carry on watching that in a sec. So let's call it a super multiplier. And why do I say a super multiplier? Because it's easier to move a low market cap token than it is to move a big market cap token. With ETH, every $1 billion that came in moved the price up $14.9 billion. With Solana, maybe we'll get more of that because it's a lighter protocol to move up. If you use instead of using the multiple, you use the multiplier, you use the super multiplier, which is just make sure I'm getting this right. You use the multiplier. Hold on a second. So, for every, yeah, it's okay. So let's do F3D7. Let me just make sure I'm getting my formulas right here. Okay, so let's make that. It should be, give me 1 second. It should be equal to this over here, E7. Okay, there we go. So we're saying, okay, so now, if you want to see what happens around the super multiplier, i.e. if Solana becomes a little bit more reflexive, then you just change it to the super multiplier over here. And what you can see is that the price of Sol starts going up a hell of a lot quicker. And so if we get $2.5 billion worth of inflows over here, we could see a Sol price of $305. If we get a $5 billion inflow, actual inflow, then that could take us to $400 on Solana. So now things start to happen very, very, very quickly, because we know for every $1 billion that you put in, you're going to get somewhere between a 14x and a 22x increase on Solana. And that could take Solana, I mean, if you get a 40 billion inflow, you won't get a 40 billion inflow. I don't know why we even made the table like that. Let's just say that we're going to get to the same as ETH. Let's stop there for now, because sometimes you don't want to get too excited. Let's say this is if we get the same inflows as ETH. We get a $20 billion net inflow, Sol goes to $1,000. If we get a $15 billion inflow, Sol goes to $762. If we get 10, which is half of ETH, we get $579 on ETH. So that just shows you how reflexive it is. And that's exactly what actually the charts are actually telling you. If you look at the charts and you look at the fundamentals, okay, from a charting point of view, pretty simply, Solana has been tapping and tapping and tapping this line here. Now, you know what I say about lines. You can tap and tap and tap once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Are they going to get the mother of all rejections, or eventually you're going to break through and you're going to get into some kind of new price range? That's where we are. I believe that this is a very critical resistance point, but I think once we get through this resistance point, we get to $300, which is the next level, which is the Sol all-time high, or the Sol cycle high. If you get to the Sol cycle high, we are expecting inflows of $2.5 billion from the digital asset treasury companies and the ETFs. Highly, highly, highly feasible and highly, highly, highly plausible that we get that by sometime around end October. By end October, if you kind of look at this chart and say, okay, is it possible for us to break through here and then to shoot up and then go up towards this level by end October? It pretty much is. And so the charts are lining up very, very, very perfectly with the fundamentals, right? The charts are lining up very, very, very perfect with fundamentals. Also, like 𝗥𝗔'𝗀 says, we've actually been consolidating since December. We've been consolidating in this 100 to 200 price range on Sol. And so we kind of expect Sol to break out and actually go up at some point. Now, look, for me, Solana is the biggest player of the cycle. I've always said it. I've got some money in ETH. I put some money in ETH. But ultimately, the majority of my money is actually sitting in Solana and Solana-related plays. I've gone much more aggressive. I've gone Solana, leverage Solana, and leverage Solana assets. Why? So there's a couple of things that are happening on Solana. It's not only the technicals and the fundamentals, right? There is a technical upgrade on the protocol, which is currently being voted on, which is called SIMD 0326. Forget about the thing. 𝗙𝗓𝗏, that's what it is. And what it does is it reduces the block times to the block finality times by a lot to 150 milliseconds, which will really make this chain the fastest or one of the fastest to ultimate finality. And everyone's actually pushing for this to actually go through. Even 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, he's come out. And it's a very technical upgrade, but for us, all we need to know is that it makes Solana faster, faster to finality. The second thing that is happening on Solana is the fact that there hasn't been a good and robust lending market on Solana. Solana has always been this chain where, look guys, you're the DePIN chain and you're the meme coin chain, but you're not really a DeFi chain. But Jupiter has a partnership with a protocol called 𝗏. 𝗏 is one of the protocols that worked primarily on ETH. And they are building a lending market. In fact, they've built a lending market. And the lending market is actually done. Hold on, someone says we're catching, people are catching trades here. Link, hold on a second. Whoa. You see, I'm getting super FOMO. I'm getting super FOMO now. Did I miss a trade here? Okay, you see, look, that's the power of news trading. That I did it live, so you guys could see it, okay? This is the news terminal. You saw me take that 𝗏 trade. Now, 3 seconds ago, I took that 𝗏 trade because I got the news first. That trade is up 54.6%. Yeah, here's the trade. I opened it now with you guys. I literally opened it now with you guys. Here it is. And that trade is up 54% at the moment. Why? Because I was getting alerts on my news tracker. I got alerts that something was happening. And as soon as it happened, we caught it. And actually, one of my researchers just posted this here. Open with, I've got to show you this because this is now one of our researchers. Andrew Tate's, actually, it's actually Andrew Tate's cousin from Romania. At least that's what he says. I don't believe it, but he says it. You can see he just made 31% on the Chainlink trade using the news terminal. Guys, I cannot tell you how important it is and how amazing this news terminal is. If you want to sign up and you want to use it, and you've pretty much seen how to make money in this. There is a launch. It's a $599 product. There is a launch offer here for $99 a month. Try it for a month. It is addictive, and you'll end up making a lot of money. I mean, yeah, I've made my money back on one $1,000 trade. Literally, one $1,000 trade live on the stream. I've made it for you. And I could have made a lot more if I was just concentrating, but I'm actually doing a show. So let's get back to the show. Completely forgot about the show for a second there. So there hasn't been a lending and borrowing market on Solana, but now they've done this partnership. Jupiter have done a partnership with 𝗏, and they launched lending markets on Jupiter, which is called Jupiter Lend. And that is starting to go parabolic. They've already got a $500 million market size, of which 212 has already been accessed, so $500 million. And they've just started. You've also got tokenized stocks. You've also got the trenches on Solana. So generally, I think that the fundamentals are flying when it comes to Solana. And I think that Wall Street is starting the rotation early. And so now the big question, you see what's going on here. You cannot concentrate this thing. It's impossible. Okay, 72% profit during the show. During the show, I've made $241 on a $1,000 trade, 72% profit during the show. Come on, guys. That beeping sound is driving me crazy. I'm out. Okay. Someone says I'm up on Link, 89% in 1 hour. You see, you got to catch the trades, guys. You got to catch the trades. Okay, should I mute this thing? Because otherwise we're never going to get a show here. Let me close it for now. We'll open it. We'll never get a show going here. We'll never get a show going here. Okay, so how do you position yourself to capture this Solana trade quite safely? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So I created a Solana portfolio. And instead of just taking the Solana portfolio, I said, look, I don't want you guys taking too much risk. I don't want you guys going to meme coins, quiet coins, small coins. I want to stick with the big ones. Solana, Jupiter, which is the biggest DEX aggregator and the biggest lending market. Raydium, which is the biggest DEX. Jito, which captures all the MEV. Pump, you know what Pump Fund is. It's the biggest meme coin market in the world. And Drift. Those are the Solana plays. I don't think you need anything else but those in a Solana portfolio. Now, what I've said is, if you've got a $10,000 portfolio, or $20,000, I want to do it on $20,000 because I actually want to open this portfolio, right? If you've got a $20,000 portfolio to invest, here's what you can do to get $50,000 worth of exposure. Or even, you can even do, you can do $50,000 worth of exposure here and have an amazing portfolio. Let me show you how. So the first thing you can do is break up how much you want to invest. I put 30% into Sol, 15% into Jupiter. In fact, I'm even going to change it. I'm going to say 10% into Jupiter. Oh God, they keep changing my access into my own spreadsheets. Okay, so I'm going to put 10% into Jupiter. I'm going to put 40% into Sol. And then I've got myself a, hold on, let's see, I've got to reduce somewhere else. Where should I reduce? Okay, let's just keep it the way that it was for now. 30% into Solana, 10% into, 15% into Jupiter, 15% into Radium, 15% into 𝗙𝗘, 15% into Pump Fund, and 10% into Drift. Now, what I'm doing is, on a $20,000 portfolio, that would give me $20,000 position. But I can take leverage. And if I take the leverage, I'm taking the leverage responsibly. Okay? So let me show you what I mean by taking the leverage responsibly. Someone says leverage is illegal in the United States. It's actually not. You can sign up with 𝗏𝗏. There is a link to 𝗏𝗏 over here. Where's my 𝗏𝗏 link here? You get the best rewards. And I'm actually going to give away a portfolio. So if you sign up on 𝗏𝗏 and you want to follow this portfolio, it's a non-KYC exchange. But let me show you what I'm doing here. I'm taking Solana and I'm saying, instead of buying a $6,000 position on my $20,000, I'm going to buy an $18,000 position on a 3x leverage. Now I know that my liquidation price is $142. So I look at the Solana chart and I say, hold on a second. Am I happy to risk $142 liquidation? And look, I'm not going to get liquidated. I'm going to just manage the liquidation, right? So I'm going to look at it and say, look, do I think that Solana can go down to $142? It probably can, but the probabilities right now are not high that it's going to get to that low. If it does, I will manage my liquidation positions. And I'm doing the same on Jupiter. I'm taking a leverage position. It's currently trading at 51 cents. So I'm going on 2x and my liquidation price becomes 26 cents. So then I look back at the Jupiter chart and I say, okay, hold on a second. JUPUSD. Do I think that it can go below 26 cents? Well, it hasn't gone below 26 cents the whole cycle. I think I'm pretty safe. I think I'm pretty safe here. And so I've made this portfolio. Radium, do I think it can go below $2? That would mean a 50% haircut now. Can happen, but unlikely. Same thing with 𝗙𝗘. Can happen, but unlikely. Can Pump go below 16 cents? Well, it hasn't gone below 16 cents. And it's got $2 billion worth of cash, which would mean that if it did that, it would be trading at less than its cash value. And so what I've done here is I've taken a leverage portfolio. Okay? You see, it's a leverage portfolio. And I am taking 3x leverage on Solana. I'm taking 2x leverage on everything else. And that way I'm not taking like so much more risk. I'm sticking with the big ones. I'm sticking with the big tokens. And I'm sticking with the big tokens, and I'm managing to 2.5 times the size of my portfolio, and therefore the 2.5 times the size of my returns. So now I'm going to show you how to open it, because I'm actually going to open this portfolio, right? Remember, I took the money out of the 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪. Oh, you see it opened my 𝗏𝗏 position. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's, by the way, I opened it through the terminal, and opened up on my 𝗏𝗏 account. So what do? The first thing is I go to Solana. Now pay attention here. I go to Solana, Sol USDT. And I go into isolated margin on 3x, and I open an $18,000 position. Now, as soon as I buy that, I'm going to buy it now quickly. Let's buy it. Okay. It should hit any second now. Okay, it's hit. Okay, so what you can see here is that my liquidation price is around $143. So I've opened that position. I'm going to open all the other positions now as well. So on Jupiter, I'm going to open a $6,000 position. On Radium, a $6,000 position. A 𝗙𝗘, $6,000 position. Pump and Drift. So we said Jupiter. So JUPUSDT. Okay, I'm going to open a $6,000 position. Remember, these $6,000 positions are on 3x leverage, isolated, and therefore I'm only paying $2,000 in margin. The next position I'm going to open is Pump Fund. And I'm going to open a $6,000 position here. Bang, done. I'm going to do the same thing on 𝗙𝗘. JTO, and I'm going to open it here, and I'm going to open a $6,000 position on 3. I'm opening these up on 3x. I should be opening them up on 2x. What an idiot. Okay, let's do it again on 2x. It's partially the hangover. Okay, so open JTO at JTO $6,000 at 2x. I must close these ones because I'm going to reopen them. So I'm going to close pump. And I'm going to close Jupiter. So I've got JTO. Let's go back and open up the pump. The pump one, pump USDT. And we're going to open up on 2x because I used the wrong leverage in the previous example. Confirm. And I'm going to open up a 6K position. And on Jupiter, I'm going to open up a 6K position. And my leverage is 2x, and it's an isolated leverage, so it means it doesn't wipe out my other accounts. So I've got pump, Sol, JTO, I've got to open Jupiter. Okay, let's place that order. Okay, and then I'm going to open Drift. Drift is a smaller position, if I remember correctly. It's a $2,000. I've been opening bigger positions. I'm like drunk in this thing. Anyway, just follow the spreadsheet. I'll open. You shouldn't do any trading while you got a hangover. You shouldn't open any trades while you got a hangover. But generally, if you open this position, you're going to get a $46,000. You're going to have a $46,000 position, and you just got to manage the liquidation prices, which I think are very, very, very far away for now. So just manage the liquidation prices, right? Just manage the liquidation prices. People are laughing here. I've got such a hangover, guys. Do not use those entries, someone says. Okay, so that's the one thing that you can do. The other thing that you can do, if you want to follow, is just we can open some Pionex bots, right? So we can go and open bots that are going to trade the range now. The one bot that I don't have here is I don't have a JTO bot. And I really think that you need a JTO. I've got a pump fund bot. So I'd just go to JTO. I'd go here. I'd go futures bot, create a bot. I'll show you how to do it. You guys can do it in your own time. I would go to JTO because I think JTO you can do a nice bot here. So you see, remember with the range bots, you want to make sure that you are trading a good range. And if I look at JTO, for me, the range is somewhere around, let's go into daily. I think the daily gives you a better range. So around 160 all the way up. So I would go here with this one, and I would set up a bot that kind of says, look, around 160 is the lowest price. 1.65 is around the lowest price. And then the top, I'd say around $4 for now. And then I'd put in 500 grids because I wanted as many grids as possible. Now the bot's going to trade in and out and in and out and in and out here. Here, I would put in unclick auto reserve. I'm going to go on 5x leverage. And I'm going to put in $5,000 into that bot. Okay, now my liquidation is 163. That's a little bit uncomfortable for me. So I'm going to reduce the leverage here. I'm going to go into a 4x leverage. Okay, my liquidation price is at 150. I can manage that. And I'm going to set up this bot. So now I've got two things. I've got a running portfolio on 𝗏𝗏, and I've got a running portfolio on 𝗏𝗏, and I've also got this bot trading in and out and in and out. Now immediately this bot's buying 76% of 𝗏𝗏. If you want to follow that specific bot, let me copy the details for you guys, and we'll give it to Johnny, and Johnny will open up a okay, let's copy that bot, send that to Johnny. I think I'm going to open a whole lot of other Solana bots now, because I just think that if Solana explodes, I want to be in this trade. So I'm actually going to open one or two more. You're going to have to bear with me or follow me. It's up to you. So Jupiter is another one that I want to open a bot. Where do I want to open this bot? Well, let me get the Jupiter chart. Yeah. So again, if I look at the range, the Jupiter range is about that. So it's about, I'd say about, that's the range. So about 40 cents upwards. So I would say here, I would say Jupiter, I would go 0.4 and I would go up to 0.7, 0.8. And again, I'd put in the maximum number of grids because I want to make the most amount of profits. And I would again, I'd put in 5 grand over here. I'm going to run out of money here soon. My liquidation price is 25 cents. I'm very safe with that. Let me actually unclick auto reserve because now what this machine's doing is it's trying to tell me where I'm going to liquidate it at 33. Yeah, that's good for me. So I'm going to create that bot as well. So now I've got a Jupiter bot and I've got a Jito bot. I'm going to actually create a drift bot also. So I'm going to create bots for Johnny. If you could put the Solana bots in their own like section. Let's do a drift bot quickly. So I'm going to go drift. Okay, let's just quickly look at the range on drift. The range on drift is pretty scary. So the range on drift is about 40 cents up to 80 cents. So let's go 40 cents to 80 cents. So let's create a bot. 0.4 to 0.8. Again, I'm going to go maximum number of grids because I want that bot trading in and out like a mofo. 500 grids. And I want the investment amount on 5x, 4x, 5x. And I will put in $3,000 because I'm running out of cash. My liquidation is 45. Not comfortable with that liquidation. I'm going to reduce the leverage. 35. I'm comfortable with that liquidation price. And I'm going to create that bot. And now I've got a drift bot also actually running. So I've got a pump bot. I've got a drift bot. I've got a Jupiter bot. I think I'm ready if Solana actually runs. I think I'm actually ready here. Let me do that. There we go. Let me send that to Johnny as well so that you guys can actually have it. Cool. So guys, that's pretty much what I would do. If you think that Wall Street is trying to preempt the Solana run and you think that the Solana run is actually real, then start building yourself a slightly. Now you noticed that I didn't actually go 10x and 15x leverage. I'm not doing that. I'm doing like very small leverage. It's responsible leverage. And I'm really managing my liquidation price. We'll leave a copy of the spreadsheet for you guys below so that you can do it. If you want to do it on Blowfin, I'll set it up on Blowfin now, and we'll actually be following that portfolio together on Blowfin. There's a link below. It's a non-KYC exchange. If you do it, first 200 people can open $1,000 Solana leverage position. I'll arrange that now. Give me 5 minutes to actually arrange that now. All right, before we go, let's just quickly check on the news terminal and let's see if I want to keep my position open or closed. It's so addictive. I mean, it really is addictive. Yeah, guys, yeah, like someone missed the pith trade. Josh missed the pith trade. You snooze, you lose, bro. Yeah, let's just look at the trades that have happened. Wow, this thing's going crazy now. It's absolutely going crazy now. Let's see what's going on here. If you haven't tried news trading, I promise you it's the most addictive form of news trading. Okay, so now, where is my pith position? My pith position is 77% up, as you can see. So you can see it over here. My pith position is 77% up. Why? Because while we were on the stream, the pith, something happened around pith. Started moving up, and that's when we actually traded it, right? So I'm actually going to close that position. I've made 77% on the market. You can actually close it directly from the terminal. Look here. Okay, it's closed. People said that they had a link trade. Here's the link trade over here. Where is it? There's a lot going on. Look how quickly the news is coming out here. Okay. See, every time the news comes out, you get an alert. And every time you get an alert, you can hit the button and you can actually trade it. So, yeah. Remember, guys, if you want to sign up for the news terminal, there's a $99 special for now. It's because we've just launched it. If you sign up now, you'll be on $99 for the first 3 months. Then you'll be on $199 forever as long as you remain a member. But the normal price is $599. Someone says we're already addicted. Sammy, it's addictive, this thing, hey? It absolutely is addictive. Crazy. We're already addicted. I'm so addicted to this thing. People are here. People are sending me screenshots. Another one. Hold on. I want you guys to read this. These are real messages. Hold on a second. These are real messages coming through now from the fam, from you guys actually. Have a look at this. This is from Chris. I don't know who Chris is, but he says, look, you can see it says, look, second of the day. Also this, it's amazing how quickly things happen when you can react promptly. And that's exactly what news trading is about. The terminal in milliseconds gives you the news and you can actually trade on it. See, there's another one. IO, USDT, is trading up 10% in the last 60 seconds. Let's take a position. Okay. Take the position, negotiate later. Why is it moving? Now we can start thinking about why the hell is this thing actually moving. Okay, I'm $13 down there. Okay, well, I'm going to now work out why IO was actually going up. I'm $20 down. Oh my God. I'm going to get liquidated. $33 down. Okay, I can easily just get out. Gone. I'm out. $33 down. But you see how it works. Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys. Wow, there's lots of stuff going on here. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.